All right, thanks for joining the Semi-Occasional Gaming Podcast. Today I'm joined by two special guests, Andrew and Bree from Covyne Entertainment, and they've got a very unusual and special game that they're going to tell us about shortly. But Andrew and Bree, thanks for joining. How are you going?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having us on the show.
Thanks, no, my pleasure. Thanks for joining. You're making a psychological survival horror set in the Australian Outback, and I'm sure that this has got to be the only one of its kind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I think there was one game that was done maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but it wasn't really. It was more just like an exploration kind of a game. It wasn't really the sort of survival horror style, which I think the Australian Outback has, got a unique kind of setting for something like that.
Yeah, it really does. We'll talk about your game in a sec. Why don't you just tell us a bit about your background, what got you into this industry? And this isn't your first game, by the way. You've got Dolvin.
That's right.
Yeah. So keen to hear a bit more about that as well. So feel free to jump in and let us know how you got here.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a long story, I guess, but I've always wanted to make games since I was a kid. My grandmother bought me a IBM 386, which is like a really old computer.
Yeah, my dad had one of those.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it had this little turbo button on it.
Yep, I remember the turbo button.
Why would you have the turbo button off? Like, you'd always have it on, right? So I don't know why I had it, but anyway. Yeah, so we had that computer, and I had a game called Rogue on it, which is it's like an old ASCII kind of game. It was written in the 80s, and I always thought, it would be interesting to make something like that. And I learned BASIC when I was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. Didn't really get very far, just kind of, made a little blip on the screen and had it writing text and things like that. And so that was kind of the start of my, I guess, my wife would probably call obsession with computers, computing. And so, I did actually I got an Amiga as well later on, which was a Commodore Amiga, and I learnt Amiga Basic as well. That was probably in my early teens. And again, sort of started making little games here and there, but nothing kind of major. And yeah, it wasn't until probably, I don't know, about 12 or 13. No, it's just 2012, I think it was. About 2012, we went on a trip, and where was it again? It was at
South Australia.
South Australia, that's right. I went to South Australia, and I kind of stayed up all night, well, very late in the night, just making this game, my first game that I wanted to really publish, which was a HTML game. You can still play it, actually. I think it's on the
Amazon.
Yeah, it's on the Amazon web services somewhere, but I think you can get to a link to it from our.
We've got it on our website.
Our website, yeah. It was just a JavaScript game, but it's like, it's kind of like a platformer sort of thing. And it wasn't until I sort of didn't do much for a little while, and it wasn't until kind of just before COVID that I started getting into Unreal and Unity. And it was a bit of a funny story because I'd come up with this idea of a game which turned out to be Dolvin. But the idea was essentially that you would move characters around on a grid, kind of like chess a little bit, but you'd be playing cards at the same time. I love turn-based games. I love playing cards. And so they were two things that were pretty interesting. And I thought, let's make a game out of it, because I don't think anyone had kind of done that before. So I went pretty hard on that. And about a month out from PAX, Bree was looking over my shoulder and said, "Oh, it looks really interesting." And then she went back to her computer and booked me into PAX with 4 weeks notice. Yeah.
Was this last year's PAX or the one before?
No, this was
24.
2024. Yeah, 2024. And so I was like, a lot of late nights. But I think once Brie has something in her mind where it's like, once she's got the target, that's it. We're doing it.
I just saw the game and I said, hey, that's incredible. I said, you've got to show people this game. I said, we've got to take this somewhere. We've got to take it to a show or somewhere. And I got online and I Googled, game shows, and it was just that PAX happened to be coming up. I've never been to a PAX, so I didn't know what PAX was. And I just jumped on the phone and I said, oh, could we book in for a spot to show this game? I read a bit of information and then I saw, indie game section. And anyway, so I rang and I spoke to one of the organisers, Johnny, and they didn't have any space. They said, we're all full. We don't have any space.
That's right.
He said, but look, I could try and, swivel some spaces around. I'd like to add some more pods. And so I said, all right, well, let me know if you can. And, we'd love to join on. And, he got back to me not long after and said, look, I've managed to scrounge up a few more spaces. So, you can have one. And that was our introduction to let's go and show this game that Andrew's secretly been working on, which I hadn't even got wind of. He'd been working on it for over a year, and so I don't pay a lot of attention, but
and
so that's how that happened.
It would have been close to release by the next PAX, like that, because it was about October. No.
Well, we wanted to release it the next PAX, but it was the year after that we actually released, which was basically hang on,
25.
25, it was 25. It was last year that we actually released.
So it was actually PAX 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So then we had 24, and PAX 25 was the release.
Yeah, we were aiming for a year, but it took us 2 years. In addition,
that's because we didn't. We were pretty much he was single-handed. He did team up with Mike from TKFY Studio a year in, and that helped a lot. Mike was great, and so it took all up 3 years to develop Dolphin.
And were you in the industry before this, or was this your first?
That was the first. Yeah.
So like you're not a game developer in your full-time job or anything like that, is it?
No. So I my background is software engineering. So I've been doing that since I was obviously pretty young, but professionally since I was like 20, I think. So and now I'm nearly 50. So it's about nearly 30 years. And so I've been working in various market verticals, like mainly. Well, pretty much everything, man, like finance, insurance, utilities. It's
Freight.
It's all corporate stuff, but it's really boring. But that's where the money is, and so that's why you have to do it, and that's what pays the bills.
I understand. Yeah, I get it.
So look, I don't mind it too much. But I'd obviously rather be making games for a living. But I think you got to be pretty. You got to be pretty lucky to do that. I think there's a lot of competition and a lot of good, good sort of studios out there that don't get recognition. Full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like probably the last 10, 15 years we've seen this indie explosion, this indie revolution. Which has been great. Steam's awesome for this sort of thing, but now it's like it's almost too much, and a lot of stuff goes under the radar. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of competition. It reminds me of the music industry, where in Melbourne in particular, there's a bunch of really fantastic bands, but there's only a very tiny amount at the top of the triangle that actually get through.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think for me, I sort of think, well, what's the kind of end goal? It'd be great to be able to make a living out of it, but if I can't, then the second sort of best thing is just creating things that I want to create and getting people to play them and have fun doing it. If one of the greatest things about Dolphin, one of the great success stories is that we built it, and we built it with a whole bunch of achievements and a whole bunch, so that's 6 endings as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, a bunch of gear you can collect, that sort of stuff. And there's been people in the Discord that have have gone through it and collected all of the items, collected all of the cards, got all the achievements, got all of the 6 endings, and like just absolutely obsessed with it. And I think that's even just to have that, that's kind of that's satisfaction in itself, really. I think.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're happy with the response and overall good feedback. You got a good fan base.
Yeah. I think we got one negative review on Steam, and it was the opening line said, "It's not a bad game, but."
What does he know? He doesn't know anything, that guy.
But yeah, it's good. It's good that he started his negative review saying it's not a bad game.
Beautiful.
So yeah. So that's been it's been fun and pretty rewarding to get that out.
Yeah.
And we're still working a little bit on Dolphin in the background.
Just like updates and patches and things, is that what you mean?
Yeah. I've also been playing with a peer-to-peer framework which will allow me to do multiplayer. But it's quite slow going and pretty heavy. But yeah, I'm sort of taking just little steps. But the focus right now really is X300 to get that into a place where we can show it off a bit. Yeah.
Well, why don't we? Oh, just quickly, actually, Bree. So your role in this endeavor is, because I understand Andrew's like the developer and everything. And what about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm like the sidekick.
She's not.
I make the bookings, I plan out plans, and I book the flights.
You're the manager.
I put the social media together, and I'm always just planning on. I try to do as much social sort of promotion as I can. I'm not great at it, but we've got a fella helping us as well, which is really, really helpful. Really good.
Well, that's a pivotal part, isn't it? Promotion and social media engagement and everything.
I think one of the lessons we really learned with Dolphin was that we really didn't promote it right from the get-go. So that's where we're taking a different approach with X300, where we've learned so much over the last 3 years with regard to the community and like the gaming community, how it works, what they look at, what they like, what they want, and we're really focusing more focus this time round on the community involvement as opposed to just look at this keep getting this game and going to different events. And so yes, I'm the person behind the scenes, kind of peddling, always peddling.
I was going to say, don't forget that Bree actually put together the real life version of Dolphin, the actual card game.
I've been doing lots. I also made a physical card game for the game Dolphin. That's it's still in prototype phase, I say, but it's a playable, sellable, workable, prototype.
Nice.
Ready for the publisher. So if there's any publishers out there that want a card battler based off the video game, then we've got one.
Yeah. Does the game have a Did you go for the publisher for the game? No.
I mean, that's something we'd probably for the real life card game. I think that's probably something that we'd be interested in doing. We've been self-publishing that. It has been refined. Like it's been through 3 editions.
I've been working on it over the last couple of years, and I'm at a point now where I'm really, really, really happy with this card style. It's changed dramatically from the original card style, which I based purely on the video game, but translating a video game card to a tabletop card, it doesn't quite work, because in a video game, a lot of the video gives the player the idea of what happens with this card. It even does it itself, whereas tabletop, the player has to have the UI on the card, and you have to be able to read the card. So I've learned a lot with the help of ChatGPT as to how cards should be laid out and all that sort of stuff.
The right way to communicate.
The right way to communicate the ideas and things like that. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I guess we should talk about your next game, X300. And take it away. What do you want to tell us about this slightly different thematic Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we could probably start with, how we came about the idea.
Mm.
I mean, we when I was young, I actually went up to a place, I guess we'll mention in a little bit, where they did nuclear testing, or atomic weapons testing, when I was a kid. Now, somewhere in the conversation, we came up with this kind of idea of setting a game around an area that was, that was like an atomic weapons testing place, and I can't remember. It must have been one of our Friday nights, because like on Friday night we usually jump in the spa. That's our little kind of office, Friday night office in the spa. Grab a drink and we brainstorm. And so we must have come up with the idea, and that's what I get. My guess is
we'd been watching a mini series on the SBS, or was it ABC or SBS? SBS, called Operation Buffalo. And Operation Buffalo is about the Maralinga nuclear test site in South Australia. And that series, if you've never watched it, it's fantastic, because it sort of gives you a glimpse back at Australia in the 1950s and what was going on. It was the Cold War era. There was, there was ASIO had just been created by the government, which was their secret service, the equivalent of America's secret service. We have ASIO, which we still have today. But that was all born out of, the Cold War era in Australia in the 1950s. And, the British government wanted a place where they could test nuclear weapons. So they, the government, which was Gough, who was it? Whitlam at the time. He, made these backroom deals with the British government to have a space out in the South Australian desert, which was what we now know as Maralinga. So we actually went and did a tour of the Maralinga nuclear site.
We got ourselves hyped up and went, let's go over there.
We got to go. So we went over in March 25. We went and visited the site, and we talked to the Aboriginal elder out there who oversees the place and looks after the place. Jeremy is his name. So we went on a tour of the different areas in the place where they've got all the material buried, and there are still places that are cordoned off where you can't walk because there's still radioactivity under the ground, and there's warning signs: no camping, no cooking food on a campfire. So the Aboriginal people who are from that area, they don't actually live on the area anymore because it's too dangerous. So they've moved to other areas, but the site is still there, and it's being looked after by the Maralinga people. So,
I think people might be really surprised to learn that there was nuclear testing done in Australia, let alone by the British, not the Americans. It's kind of surprising, right?
It is, and like, to be honest, I mean, we sort of talk to people when they come to the booths at the conferences, and we say, have you heard of Maralinga before? And a lot of people, maybe 2 in 10 people know about it. And it actually really affected a lot of the area, not only just around where the weapons testing was, but also all the way down to South Australia and some across into Melbourne as well.
There was nuclear fallout reaching right up to Queensland. They had cows in Queensland with radioactive milk at one stage, because the radioactive clouds that they were letting off in South Australia, they were going up so high into the stratosphere that the winds would just carry them and then drop them on all other areas. So, it was a serious thing that they were doing.
Yeah, and I guess one funny story was we were brainstorming back here in Melbourne before we went to Maralinga. We thought, we could sort of have this game where there's this old guy, maybe he's been there for 50 years. Maybe he's sort of been looking after the place since it was been cleaned up and stuff. And
We called him the caretaker.
We called him the caretaker.
He's going to be an NPC in the game, and he is in there already. He's in the prototype.
Yeah, he's in the prototype.
Is he the guy in the ute?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that guy. So we were like, oh yeah, that's a cool story. You know, it'd be great to have a little character like that. Anyway, fast forward to when we get to Maralinga, and we basically you got to ring someone to get in because it's all fenced off. It's all still, you know, you can't.
Someone has to meet you.
Someone has to meet you there, and they unlock the gate and everything. The guy that rocks up, I swear, exactly the same guy we imagined. Tattoos, old guy, you know, couple of teeth missing. It was like, that's him.
Yeah.
So it's not like
an old fella like that out there.
So it's not like some Department of Defense worker or some guy from ASIO. It's literally like old mate with tats and no teeth.
Yeah, I think he was originally like part of the, you know, original cleanup of the place, and then he was a caretaker for a while. Then he left, and he came back. But yeah, he'd been there for, you know, I don't know, was it 50 years or something crazy?
He'd been there for a long time. Yeah, Robin. His name's Robin.
Robin, yeah, he's still probably there.
Yeah, I think he was going into retirement, so that's right. How old he is. He's going He's going into retirement.
But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend going out there. It's really interesting, and it's a different world, like completely different world out there. It took us 3 days to get there because you have to fly here from Melbourne to Adelaide, and then from Adelaide to Ceduna, and then you got to drive from Ceduna, which is another like half a day.
But we drove from Adelaide.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't fly.
No, that's right.
If we had flown, it would have been quicker.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't fly there. But yeah, it's really isolated and hard to get to as well.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, part of the adventure, though.
Yeah, well, you'd want to hope so, right? Because it's all this radioactive fallout and stuff. Yeah. So, okay, so we've got the base for this idea, but you've had to sort of pivot at some point and rebrand to X300. Can you talk a bit about that and what, you know, what happened there?
Yes, we wanted to make. Well, I wanted a game that retold the actual historical events of Maralinga. So my original idea was, oh my gosh, we could make a game about Maralinga. Anyway, so that was our original goal, and we were going to use the archival footage and footage and information that you can get from the National Archives, and we were going to present all those various sort of facts throughout the game, so the player would uncover all these true events and true things that were happening. But what we had initial discussions with Jeremy out at Maralinga, and communication is very difficult when you're trying to reach someone in a remote community and you don't have a direct line to them. You know, their phones are often not. Often there's no coverage. I mean, we got out there and we were trying to get coverage ourselves. We couldn't get coverage when we were out there. Sending emails. Well, Jeremy admitted to me, he said, please don't send me an email because I don't open the computer. Yeah. So really the only way for us to really have got the whole approvals that we would have needed together was actually going back out to Maralinga and going out to the remote community and getting it face to face, and for us that is just impossible because we've got kids at school and we both work and getting out there and I mean we left on when we were talking to Jeremy, and he was really keen on the idea. So he's the chairman actually out there at Maralinga, the corporation,
the Maralinga Corporation. He was really he said let's do it, but you know that. As Brian was saying, like we actually need to be honest, we probably need someone out there, you know, like someone who's there that we can, you know, we can't really afford to fund that at the moment. But you know, if an investor came along and said, we want to build the Maralinga DLC for X300, then sweet, we'd actually get a consultant out there on the ground that could do the do that,
because there are a lot of protocols involved which we learnt along the way. We learned early on a lot of protocols involved in dealing with true content, and especially when it involves our First Nations people. You actually need a First Nations person to be part of the storytelling process. We can't tell the story on their behalf.
Of course.
they need to be able to do that and express themselves the way that they want to be expressed. So we respect that totally, and that's why we reverted to an X300 game, which is not going to have any real life people or characters. We're making it completely fictional, but we're still using the theme and idea of the secret military base, the Cold War era, and the way the government presses on with doing things, even though the consequences of doing those things could be really bad. And in our game, they are really bad.
Yeah. And I guess now you've got the freedom to, get as wacky and creative as you want, right?
Oh, yeah. Now we've got the freedom to do it. Although I will say we do still actually have some Aboriginal content coming into this game. We've got an Aboriginal consultant here in Melbourne, who is also going to be one of our team members. His name's Amran, and he's going to be providing Aboriginal artwork for the Aboriginal weapons that will be going in the game, because it's a survival game. The player will find himself in the desert areas, and who better to inform a player on how to survive a desert in Australia than an Australian Aboriginal who they've survived in the desert for, thousands of years. So Emran is our Aboriginal consultant, and he's also our artist on the team. So there will be an Aboriginal NPC character, and that character will teach proper bush survival skills.
Cool.
And Emran's actually a Northern Territory Aboriginal, so he comes from Arnhem Land, and that's his niche.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see it in action. So, speaking of the game and what you get up to, talk about the gameplay a bit. There's obviously going to be some combat and survival stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of ideas.
Some of the creatures.
There's a lot of different creatures that we've come up with. So we've pretty much written the whole outline of the story. I won't give it all away, of course, but it will be a kind of you can think sort of Resident Evil style storytelling. I guess a couple of things that are interesting in this one is that the first thing is that something or someone or the facility itself is kind of watching you as you play the game, and it's observing you. If you drop into our Discord, you'll see kind of people remnants of that in our Discord as well. But during the process, you're going to be analyzed, and at the end of the game, or at some point in the game, you'll be presented with a report on how you've played the game, and the decisions that you've made in the game, and out of it will come like a dossier that you'll be able to share online or print for yourself. So it's kind of like a bit of your experience in one document, I guess.
It's almost like, have you ever done one of those personality tests where they give you a series of questions and you get multiple choices on how you would answer those questions? And then it eventually leads you to a particular character or personality archetype.
I've got a background in psychology. I know all about that.
Wow. Well, we should get some pointers.
We might need some help.
No.
Yeah. So in the end, you'll get a Cold War document that will be printed out, that you can print out or share online to your socials, and that document will lay out your character archetype.
Yeah. And of course, there's going to be a lot of scary animals. I mean, the facility itself has been doing testing, and it's affected the wildlife around the area.
Kept the radiation theme going.
And so you've probably seen the scary drop bears in there. So they're already in there. We've got drop bears. We've been looking at we've just been commissioned a bunyip and a big scary red kangaroo.
Big kangaroo.
We've got big spiders.
Yes, I'm going to say make sure there's spiders.
We've got big spiders.
All those scary things in Australia that we're already scared of.
Yeah.
We're just going to enlarge them a bit.
Yeah. In part of the game, you'll also run this gauntlet where you're going through these rooms, and in each room there's going to be, separate animals like, one of them is a cicada, like a massive cicada that's kind of molded into the roof. Another one where you've got these huge mosquitoes that you've got to get past, and puzzles and that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a whole lot of flora and fauna that we're playing with, and that we can put in there. So
the NPC characters in the game are pretty much going to be like leftover military personnel, but they've been there for so long, and they've also been affected by the radiation. So this is where the NPCs are going to give you a bit of a psychological thrill, if you like to put it that way. But they're not quite all there in the head.
Yeah. An array of weapons, including obviously Australian, native weapons as well.
Yeah, boomerangs.
Boomerangs, those sort of things. So they're all in the works, and of course, the traditional Western shotguns, and I think the other thing is, it's pretty interesting, I guess, that in the whole kind of storyline is that you're starting out and you're in sort of a semi-modern time. We're not sure whether it's going to be the 80s or 90s, but probably around that time when you first reach the base. And during your adventures there, at some point you'll actually go back to the time in the 1950s. So there'll be like a time anomaly that happens. And you'll be able to experience, a bit what it was like back then. And towards the end, I don't want to give too much away, but there will be a crossover kind of between the two times, and maybe some puzzles around that as well. So, yeah.
Sounds interesting. Nice.
Yeah, so.
Going back to the flora and fauna, I noticed there was some like really Australian sounds from like birds and things like that, just in that prototype I played. Are you thinking a lot about like sound design and getting different just authentic sounds from that area?
We are
from the outback, in general. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I've been going on a few hikes recently, and I just like have my phone on record the whole time. Just recording stuff, a whole bunch of stuff on my phone. But also, we've obviously got the koala sounds in there as well that we'll be able to.
They're actually
acquire.
Recordings from a real koala.
They're real koalas, and
grunting.
Yeah, and I might like modify them a little bit, like the pitch maybe a bit lower, so it's kind of sounds a little bit scarier. But also, I mean, one of the interesting things, and one of the things we're quite proud of, is we've got a person who's been doing the sort of soundtrack for us. His name's Clint Ellis Owens. Yeah. I hope I got that right.
Clint Owen Ellis.
Clint Owen Ellis. That's right. Sorry. Clint Owen Ellis. There you go. And he was actually in a band called the Amity Affliction, which were quite a large, Australian metal band. Yeah.
I've heard a couple of their songs.
Yeah. And like I didn't even realize. So Bree basically said, "Oh, we've got this guy. He's a musician. He wants to do music for the game." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." Like when I know when I'm on Discord, I get messaged every 5 minutes from people saying, "Oh, can I put music in your game? Can I make a picture in your game?" Blah blah blah. And usually it's like all people off Fiverr or whatever, just trying to get work and things like that. So I thought it must have been just another one of those guys. And Bree kept pushing me, saying, no, this guy sounds good. So all right, we jumped on, and I had a look in the background, and he's got Amity Affliction there with a gold, or I think it was a platinum record. And I go, how do you know Amity Affliction? He goes, I was in it. I'm like, whoa, all right.
Hey,
okay, goodbye, let's go.
So he reached out to you. Was it on Discord? Did you say? Or?
Oh no, I think we met him, didn't we?
Met him at GCAP last year.
Right.
I met him while we attend GCAP every year, and GCAP is great for indie studios, especially young ones like us. We don't really know a lot of people, so you got to go to GCAP.
It's good networking.
You just got to go to GCAP. GCAP is great networking. We met our we had a studio mentor to help us with Dolphin.
Neil Renison.
Neil Renison from Tin Man Games.
Yeah.
We met him at our very first GCAP, and he's been a great help with just advice and tips. And I, when I have a question, I can send him a message like, hey, what do you think of this? Is this going to be yes or no? So having places like GCAP where you can meet people is a really good thing. So if you're an indie studio and you're wondering, how you can sort of get into the industry, you do get into the industry by attending those kinds of events.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Clint last year. And this year we have him, and he's now already done those ambient sounds for the prototype, and he will be doing the rest of the soundtrack when we, he's really looking forward, actually, he said, to getting into the facility, because in the base, it's an underground base, and it's a little bit like steampunkish because it's an old industrial place. So he said he's really looking forward to the sounds that he could come up with in an industrial environment like that. Yeah.
That's really interesting. You're actually the second indie devs I've spoken to that have had someone from a metal band, a successful metal band, do their music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a game called Valfaris studio. They've actually got 3 games actually, but they got the bassist from Celtic Frost to do their soundtrack. It's a metal. It's like this game is metal. It's a metal soundtrack game and stuff.
Right.
But so that's 2 for 2 now.
Yeah, I think they're for scary games and like action-packed games.
Yeah,
I guess probably
it's a gory run and gun. Everything's like full metal stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
So no, we're looking forward to doing that, and I think generally it's been the development has been pretty good, and we've had a relatively good reception. We did display it for the first time at the Game Expo at the start of this year.
March, not long ago.
Yeah. So that's where I met. That's where I met Bree, and I think you were on your lunch break or something when I came in. I saw your setup. It was set up kind of like a almost like when you go to the arcade and you got the Jurassic Park light gun games. You've got the curtains and everything, and I thought, this is cool as you know. Yeah, it was really good. That really stood out from the crowd.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback from that.
Yeah.
A lot of people like old school kind of come into the
and you had the sanctuary. You had the scientist jacket on as well. I'm pretty sure you did.
The boffins, yes, we're the boffins.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's my they're all my touches. I put the the spark in it.
Yeah, well that's what catches people's eyes. So that's like a really good thing that you're on top of,
Oh,
I don't think we're going to be able to do it for PAX though, because we've got a lot of strict kind of rules
PAX
around.
is a bit stricter,
really?
So we won't have walk-in booth.
But we'll have something. It just won't be that.
Unless we get one of those nice big free booths where they,
nice.
the sponsor booths, the ones in the middle. Every year, 12 games go into the Indie Aussie. The Oz Indie Showcase.
Yeah.
And if you get selected to be in the showcase, you get a big booth. So if we get a big booth, we might be able to do something special for a walk-in.
That'd be cool. Because that would really that'd really sell it, I reckon.
Yeah, I would love to.
Well, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. We probably won't get picked, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
See how you go.
It would be nice if we did, but we're not counting on it.
So you've got a Kickstarter coming up, or is it already out?
So the Kickstarter is planned for launch on the 4th of July. That's when we'll be at AvCon, which is why we're launching it on the 4th of July, because it's a good opportunity for that extra marketing. So it's going to run for 60 days. We're going to hope to get around $30,000. Well, we have to make $30,000, otherwise we don't get anything. And $30,000 will just go towards the current production of what we're already doing. We want to get to a really good quality vertical slice of the game. and we've got a few things to get done. But it's not going to fund obviously the whole game, but it will help us along. And early backers will obviously get early access and some other perks. A few of the perks that we're considering are being a metahuman in the game. So that would be, I reckon that would be pretty cool. I think a lot of people would like that. Because we do have to make quite a few characters in this game, NPC characters, probably around about 10. So we thought, how about we make that a reward, and we could actually put someone's face on the metahuman. So that's one sort of idea we're toying with for rewards. Also, obviously, physical rewards like, our pins and our caps and T-shirts and things like that. But obviously, early access to the game.
Have you been able to gauge like interest in people's reactions yet, or is it a bit early still?
It's a little bit early.
Yeah, I mean,
we're getting good feedback about the game.
Yeah.
We're actually about to as of tomorrow, we're sending out a whole lot of offers to streamers to stream the prototype or to make content from the prototype.
Yep.
And so far, I've already got like several, probably about 10 that have said yes, they definitely want to make something. So that's really good. So we're hoping that with a little bit of streamer activity on the game, a little bit of their eyes on the game, that it'll get it out to a wider audience for us. A little bit easier than what I can do. I still struggle with my social media reach, but
it's a real time. It's a real drainer, isn't it? Doing social media. Yeah.
Very hard work.
We did have one social media post that went like 30K or something like that.
Yeah, I put out a Maralinga post, a year ago. I think it was it would have been about a year ago, and it went viral on TikTok. But that's the only one.
Yep.
No more.
Who knows? Like, how do you?
I got a really good response from people about that game, but I have changed the name since, and some people thought that maybe you should stick to Maralinga, but anyway, it's X300, and I'll give you a little tip as to why I chose X300 because in the 1950s there's a man called Len Beadle. Now, if you've ever heard of the Ann Beadle Highway, Len is her husband. So Len Beadle was the surveyor of the Outback highways, and he and his crew would go and mark out all these, they would carve, pathways through the deserts. And the Australian government asked Len to, not the government, the British military employed Len to find them a spot to launch their atomic weapons. So Len Beadle knew the place, but he was told you will only be able to use a code word X300 when you relay information to us. Use X300.
Right.
So I thought, great name for a game, X300. About that particular era.
Yeah, so it's still
so it's still relevant.
Still tied back to.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, so where can people find the Kickstarter, your website, Wishlist, these things?
So on our website, we've got a landing page for the Kickstarter. It's just our covyne.com/X300. That landing page will have the link to the Kickstarter. It will also have, they can also join our Discord if they want and get information in there. But probably easiest way is go to our website, covyne.com/X300, and you'll find the Kickstarter information and a little bit more about the game, I guess. You can sign up to receive just email updates if you want, or you can go into the Kickstarter and follow, and then you'll obviously get the updates in the Kickstarter as well.
Yeah.
And I just got one parting question for you both, just in the spirit and the theme of the game. Do you think there's anything going on at Maralinga? Any cover-ups or something they're not telling us?
We can't say.
We can't say.
Maybe we'll take that one offline.
No, we'll sit on that.
That's
We'll sit on that. That's
no,
that's for other people to tell. That's a story for other people to tell.
We'll take the fifth on that, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's very wise. Yes.
We'll not confirm or
we
deny.
can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, Bree, Andrew, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck and all the best with your game, and yeah, hope to see something soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. That was really nice.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you.